Do you know how many women walk through life without ever realizing just how captivating they truly are? I'm not talking about magazine covers or perfect photos. I'm talking about that natural beauty that comes from within, the kind that doesn't fade with time, but actually grows stronger. What truly makes someone attractive goes so much deeper than what meets the eye. It's in how you make others feel when you enter a room. It's in your unique perspective, your genuine laugh, your quiet strength. It's all those things that make you unmistakably you, things no one else could ever replicate. Today, I want to share with you 10 clear signs that you're far more attractive than you give yourself credit for. These aren't about flawless skin or perfect proportions. They're about the real ways your presence impacts others, often without you even realizing it. I encourage you to stay with me until the end, especially for the second and the ninth signs. They're the ones people rarely notice, yet they often reveal the truth we've been avoiding about ourselves. The first sign that you're naturally attractive isn't about what happens when you're in a room, it's about what happens when you leave it. This is perhaps the most profound indicator of your impact on others, though you may never have thought about it this way before. Have you noticed that when you miss a gathering or leave early, people often reach out specifically to say it wasn't the same without you, or that conversations naturally circle back to include you when you step away briefly? Or perhaps you've returned from a brief absence to hear, "We were just talking about you," not in gossip, but with genuine appreciation. What's happening in these moments is a clear demonstration of your natural appeal. When your absence creates a noticeable void, it's because your presence contributes something essential that others miss when it's gone, something they may not fully recognize until you're no longer there. This quality of being genuinely missed goes far beyond being entertaining or being the center of attention. In fact, the women who are most deeply missed are rarely those who demand the spotlight. They're usually the ones who bring thoughtful listening, who make others feel truly understood, who carry wisdom without needing to prove it, or who infuse gatherings with a warmth that becomes fully apparent only in its absence. I've observed this repeatedly over the years. The most magnetic people aren't necessarily the loudest or most commanding in the room. Often, they're the ones creating a certain atmosphere of ease and connection that everyone feels but few can name. Their impact is more like oxygen in the room, essential but invisible until it's gone. For many women, especially as they mature, this form of attractiveness grows stronger rather than diminishing with time. The ability to create an environment where others feel more comfortable, more authentic, more connected is something that develops through years of life experience, through navigating relationships, through overcoming challenges, through the wisdom that comes only with living fully. The most remarkable aspect of this sign is that it often completely surprises the women who possess it. You may see yourself as simply being present, showing up authentically, caring genuinely, engaging honestly. You're not consciously trying to have any particular effect, but that unforced, authentic presence creates an impression far deeper than you realize. Your natural attractiveness isn't about commanding attention through force of personality. It's about the unique way you enhance the space around you through qualities that have likely been developing within you for decades: your empathy, your insight, your ability to truly see others. And when that enhancement is suddenly missing, people feel the difference immediately. Pay attention to how often you hear phrases like, "We missed you," or "It wasn't the same after you left." These aren't just casual comments. They're revelations about your impact. Your presence matters in ways that go far beyond surface appearances. You bring something to every room that no one else can bring in quite the same way, a quality that has been quietly developing throughout your life journey. The power of this sign is that it can't be manufactured or performed. It emerges naturally from who you've become. And unlike many conventional ideas about attractiveness that focus on what can be seen, this sign reveals the deeper truth. True attractiveness is ultimately about how you make others feel in your presence and how they feel in your absence. The second sign surprises many women. You know yourself to be warm, considerate, and approachable, yet somehow you occasionally hear that people found you intimidating before they got to know you. Perhaps someone admitted they were nervous to speak to you, or a friend revealed that others perceive you as somewhat unapproachable at first. If this sounds familiar, you've encountered one of the most misunderstood signs of natural grace. What's being labeled as intimidating is actually the natural response others have to genuine self-assurance and dignity. When a woman moves through the world with quiet confidence, not arrogance, but a fundamental comfort with herself, it creates a certain presence. You don't need constant validation to feel worthwhile. You listen thoughtfully rather than rushing to fill silence. You don't chase attention or engage in flattery. These qualities, developed through decades of life experience, create a powerful impression. What's happening when people call this intimidating is that they're experiencing the contrast between your natural poise and a society that often expects women, especially as they mature, to become less visible, to constantly accommodate, to require external approval. Your refusal, even unconsciously, to diminish yourself challenges those expectations. The truth is that what initially intimidates people is often what they come to value most deeply once they know you. Your unwillingness to pretend, your comfort with quiet moments, your ability to hold your own ground without apology, these are increasingly rare qualities in our world of constant noise and performance. The third sign of natural attractiveness is hearing phrases like, "Have we met before?" or "You look so familiar to me," from new acquaintances. If this happens regularly, it reveals something significant about your appeal. What's actually happening is that people experience an immediate comfort with you, a sense of connection their brain tries to explain. When someone possesses an approachable, genuine quality, it creates an instant feeling of familiarity that others cannot quite place. Their mind searches for why they feel so at ease with you so quickly and concludes, "We must have met before." This immediate comfort occurs because something in your demeanor, the warmth in your eyes, the genuineness in your smile, how you carry yourself, speaks to others on a deeper level. It says, "You can trust me and you belong here," without you saying a word. This quality becomes especially powerful as we mature. While youth might focus on standing out, there's something profoundly attractive about a woman who helps others feel seen and understood from the first interaction. That ability to create instant connection is increasingly rare in our fractured world, and if you're hearing "you look familiar" regularly, it's a gift you likely possess without trying. So, the next time someone tells you that you look familiar when you've never met before, recognize it as a compliment of the highest order. They're not recognizing your face, they're responding to the rare quality of genuine presence you bring into every room. The fourth sign you should pay attention to is when someone recalls something specific about you that you barely remember sharing. Didn't you mention last year that you love classical music? I saw this book and remembered you talked about wanting to read it months ago. I made sure we didn't order shellfish. I recall you saying you're allergic. When someone recollects something specific about you that you barely remember telling them, it's easy to dismiss as simply good memory. But there's something much more significant happening. You made such an impression that your preferences, stories, and passing comments stayed with them long after the conversation ended. This is a profound sign of natural appeal that most women completely overlook. When you're forgettable, your words evaporate from others' minds shortly after you've spoken them. But when you possess that special quality, that authentic way of expressing yourself, people don't just hear your words. They absorb them, treasure them, and recall them months or even years later. What's particularly revealing is when these moments happen with people outside your inner circle. Perhaps it's a colleague you see only occasionally, a neighbor you chat with now and then, or your child's teacher you've only met a handful of times. These individuals shouldn't remember that casual comment you made in passing, and yet they do, because something about you made them truly pay attention. This isn't about being dramatic or commanding attention. In fact, it's often the thoughtful, genuine observations shared during quiet moments that leave the most lasting impressions. Your authentic self-expression creates echoes in others' lives that continue long after you've forgotten what you said. The fifth sign might seem counterintuitive at first. How could being underestimated possibly indicate attractiveness? But pay close attention to this pattern, as its significance runs deeper than you might think. Have you noticed a recurring situation where people initially take you for granted, only to later express surprise at your intelligence, capability, or depth? Perhaps they speak to you somewhat condescendingly at first, or explain things you already understand, or seem to mentally place you in a category that feels entirely too limiting. What's happening is that your approachable, unpretentious nature makes you accessible, but that same quality can temporarily mask the full measure of who you really are. Your attractiveness doesn't announce itself loudly. Instead, it reveals itself gradually, like a fine wine that becomes more appreciated with time. The telling moment comes when you see that shift in someone's expression, that instant when they suddenly realize there's so much more to you than they initially assumed. Their eyes widen slightly, their tone changes, and suddenly they're seeing you, truly seeing you, perhaps for the first time. Many women find this pattern frustrating, and understandably so. But I've noticed something remarkable about naturally attractive women. They don't feel compelled to prove themselves instantly. They understand that their full value will become apparent in time. This quiet confidence, this willingness to be underestimated temporarily because you know your true worth, becomes increasingly compelling the longer someone knows you. Your layers are your legacy, and the look of surprise on people's faces when they discover what was there all along is a testament to a form of attractiveness that grows rather than diminishes with familiarity. The sixth sign goes beyond what people say or do. It's about the most honest judges of character we have. Children and animals. When they consistently seek out your company, they're responding to something genuine in you that many adults have lost the ability to perceive. Consider this carefully. Children haven't been conditioned to be impressed by status or appearances. Animals are completely immune to our social hierarchies. Both respond primarily to energy and authenticity. What you are beneath all the roles you play in daily life, and when they consistently choose to be near you, they're detecting something trustworthy in your presence. Have you noticed how at family gatherings, children somehow end up clustered around you? Or how your friend's normally standoffish cat finds its way to your lap? Or perhaps how dogs approach you even when you're not offering treats? These aren't random occurrences. They're intuitive responses to qualities in you that operate beneath conscious awareness. What children and animals sense is a combination of emotional safety and genuine presence. They're drawn to people who are fully there, not distracted by phones or preoccupied with appearances. They respond to the quality of your attention, to the authenticity of who you are. I've observed this phenomenon particularly among women who have reached a stage in life where they've let go of the need to constantly prove their worth. There's a settling into authentic self that happens, a kind of presence that offers complete acceptance that both children and animals instinctively recognize. Many women dismiss this, thinking it's just because they're good with kids or have always loved animals, but the deeper truth reveals something profound. Children and animals are responding to your authentic energy, the same energy that makes you naturally attractive to the intuitive people in your life. The seventh sign appears when you hear comments like, "Did you do something different with your hair? Is that a new outfit? You look different today, but I can't quite pinpoint what's changed." When you receive these questions on days when you've made no significant changes to your appearance, you're encountering one of the most overlooked signs of natural appeal. What's actually happening is that people are responding to your energy, your sense of well-being, or perhaps your mood, but they try to locate the change in something external because that's easier to identify. They sense something compelling about you, something that draws their attention, but they can't quite identify what it is. This happens because true attractiveness isn't fixed, it fluctuates with your inner state. On days when you feel more connected to yourself, when you're at peace with your circumstances, or when you're simply feeling content, that internal harmony radiates outward. Others detect it immediately, even if they lack the vocabulary to name it. What makes this sign so meaningful is that it reveals how your attractiveness transcends physical features. It's not about expensive hair color or a fashionable outfit. It's about the vitality that emanates from within, that changes subtly from day to day, but always carries its own quiet power. So the next time someone asks if you've changed something when you know you haven't, take it as confirmation that the most compelling beauty comes from within and grows stronger with passing years. The eighth sign reveals itself in everyday interactions. Have you noticed how often people specifically turn to you and ask, "What do you think about this?" Even in situations where you're certainly not the designated authority, this happens because your perspective carries weight. There's something about the way you've come to understand the world that others value deeply, even if you've never given it much thought. When you share your views, people don't just hear words, they recognize the wisdom that comes from your life experience. This is something I notice constantly with women in midlife. There's a natural authority that develops over the years that has nothing to do with degrees or titles. It's about having weathered enough storms to know what deserves worry and what doesn't. That kind of earned insight is truly magnetic in a world drowning in superficial opinions. What's particularly interesting, this often occurs in the most ordinary situations, during family discussions, in work meetings, or just having coffee with friends. You might believe you're simply offering a casual comment, but watch how people pause when you speak. Notice how the conversation seems to center around your thoughts, even when you're not trying to dominate. That's not happening by chance. It's happening because your perspective matters to people in a way that goes beyond the ordinary. Your thoughts carry a substance that draws others in, and that is a form of attractiveness that grows stronger rather than fades with the passing years. The ninth sign that you're naturally attractive is how the atmosphere shifts when you enter a space. Have you ever walked into a tense situation, perhaps a difficult family gathering or stressed workplace, and felt the energy change when you arrive? People's shoulders relax a bit, conversations flow more naturally, and somehow the entire mood lightens. This isn't happening by accident, and it's certainly not something everyone can do. This is a clear indication that you possess a natural grace that has nothing to do with outward appearance and everything to do with the emotional climate you create around yourself. What's happening is that you bring a certain steadiness with you, a grounded quality that helps others feel more at ease. In our world, where everyone seems constantly anxious and overwhelmed, a woman who carries herself with quiet composure becomes a source of comfort for those around her. You may not even realize you're doing it. Perhaps years of managing life's challenges have cultivated in you a presence that others naturally gravitate toward, like finding shelter during a storm. This quality typically develops with life experience, which is why it often becomes stronger in our 40s and 50s, not weaker. The next time you enter a room and notice conversations turning in your direction or people seeming to breathe a little easier, recognize what this means. Your calm presence isn't just pleasant, it's magnetic. In our chaotic world, someone who brings a sense of peace without effort possesses a rare quality that more flashy attributes simply cannot match. The 10th sign that you're naturally attractive is how often people end up telling you personal stories they hadn't planned to share. Have you noticed how frequently strangers or casual acquaintances confide in you? Perhaps it's the cashier who mentions her recent health concerns, or someone at a social gathering who reveals vulnerable truths they don't normally tell people they've just met. When this happens consistently throughout your life, it's not coincidence. It's a clear indication that you possess a special quality. You create emotional safety for others without even trying. This happens because there's something in your presence, perhaps how you listen without judgment, or an openness in your expression, that signals to others it's safe to be authentic with you. In our world of surface-level interactions, the ability to naturally bring out honesty in others is an extraordinary form of attractiveness. What's fascinating is that you often don't need to say much to create this effect. You might simply nod at the right moment, or your eyes reflect understanding without criticism, or perhaps there's just something about how you pay attention that makes people feel truly seen. Many women dismiss this as coincidence. I just have one of those faces, or it must be because I'm approachable, but there's something much deeper happening. In a world where genuine connection has become rare, your authentic presence gives others permission to drop their masks, even briefly, and that quality becomes more valuable with each passing year.